Hello and welcome to a GameStim beginners level course for EVE Online. This is part 2 of the Understanding the EVE window course. Here are the outcomes. For this course, we've already looked at the item select menu, overview, and drone control. So in this video, we will be looking at the heads-up display and manipulating chat windows. Perfect, so let's get started. Okay, so the first part, heads-up display. Our heads-up display is this area all in here. This is what I'm referring to. If you see my mouse at the bottom, that is our heads-up display, and there's a lot of information going on here. You may not notice it from what you see, but there's a ton of information, and it takes some time to get through. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is going on down here. What I'm going to do, just for simplicity, I'm just going to put those menu options, hide them a little. Okay, so let's take a look at this heads-up display. First of all, let's go from the right to the left. You'll see these are our module block. These upper modules are what we call the high slots. These are the mid slots, and these are the low slots. Now you can move these around as well, but typically that's how they are oriented. Let's take a look at our ship fitting. This is our ship fitting tool. It looks like a little ship. And you will see our high slots here, and these are our high slots. Our mid slots, low slots, low slots. Now if you're wondering why some of these are here but they're not here, I'll get to that in very soon. But what I want to first show you is along the high slots, you'll see here ungroup all weapons. If you were to click that, you will now see 2 weapons, and that's how many weapons you have in our fitting screen. If we were to hit that again, it brings it together. So what this does is, instead of having to hit F1 and F2 very quickly to shoot something, all you need to do is hit F1 once and both of your guns will fire. Alright? Next we come over to here, and this is grayed out. And this is grayed out because it's actually offline. This is the probe launcher. And then we have our cloaking device. So that's our top slots, our modules. You'll see a little overload rack here. If you were to turn this on, the modules that can overload in your top rack or your high slots, you'll see this little green indication at the top here light up. These ones don't, because they don't have that feature to overload or to heat the module. When you're heating the module, it means you can get more out of it, typically 15-20%, more damage, more repair, that sort of thing. So that's where the skill comes in EVE Online. Those who can manage their heat and their better than others will earn a competitive edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to turn off the overheating. It should turn off soon. Okay, maybe not. Okay, there we go. Just got to hit it very carefully. Now what I would recommend is to find out what those hotkeys are and use the hotkeys instead. Now let's take a look at the mid slot here. So we're going to turn that on, see all of them light up, and this one is active. So it is going to start receiving heat damage. Now you know, and if you look at the middle here, you'll see the red coming up, and that's telling you, oh, when you get to the top here, you can't do any more overheating. However, you also have to keep an eye on your heat damage on your module. Look at that. I better turn that off. If this red gets all the way around to the other side, your module is going to burn out. You don't want that to happen, like it just did. Okay, so I just burned my module out. Okay. And then the bottom one too, you can turn that one on, and the ancillary armor rep would also be able to heat for you. I'm going to turn that off. Excellent. So that is your slot layout. Now if you want to see some of these other items like these two here that you don't see, it's just a matter of going to your options menu at the bottom, and you can display passive modules. And you'll see that there's displayed now. That could be good when you start overheating some modules on the low slot. You want to know what their heat status is as well. Okay, and then you'll see that there are other types of options here. We won't go into very much detail. All right, so those are your modules, and that's how you use them. Every module has a right-click option, so you can look at, you can either reload, you can set if they're on auto repeat, auto reload. So that's just whether or not when you hit the button, do they fire again on their own, set auto repeat. If when you run out of ammo, do you want to manually tell them to reload, or do you want them to automatically reload? That would be those settings there. Perfect. Now moving over to the left a little bit more, we have our heads-up display. And these areas here, they're half circles. You have the bottom, the mid, and the upper one. Those are indicators for your shield, armor, and your structure. As you start losing shields, you will notice a red will show, and so the white will be gone. When your shields are all gone, then you'll start going into the red for your armor, and then when your armor's gone, you'll start going into red with your hull. When you have all red, your ship will be destroyed, and you'll be in your capsule. So that's what this is up in here. This area in the middle circle, that is your capacitor. And there is a saying in EVE, and it's capacitor is life. For the most part, that is true. So you want to make sure that you manage your capacitor, whatever you're doing, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you don't have any capacitor left. And then of course at the bottom is your velocity or your speed controls. You can manipulate that to go at different speeds. You can just hit the plus to tell it to go to maximum speed. All right, and that's that portion, center portion of the heads up. The next you would go into these options here. This one's easy, just to take a look at your drone bay or your cargo hold. Click it again and it's gone. This one here is your scanner. You have several options, like for example the directional scanner, which you'll use to orient yourself, and when you get into PvP you'll be using that a lot. Or your probe scanner. If you ever get into wormhole space, you'll be using that a lot as well. And what's nice is they've ungrouped those two together recently, so you can actually have both out at the same time, like so. I'm going to close those off. We'll go off into that functionality in a later video. That's a little bit more advanced than where we find ourselves at right now. Okay. Next would be the autopilot. Autopilot, if you happen to want to go AFK but you want to travel somewhere, I wouldn't recommend using that unless you're just going through high-sec space and you're not in any type of ship where you don't care if you get blown up. So you're forewarned. The next one would be the camera controls. I like the camera controls where they are, but you can change them to look at different things. One of them that's nice is if when you click on something, it automatically orients your camera. So if you're using your directional scanner, you can just hit your directional scanner and see what's in this area in front of that object. Okay. So for example, you want to see who's in the direction of this mobile depot, boom. And it automatically does that for you instead of having to move your mouse and scroll over to there. So a lot of people like to use that as well. And then the last one that you'll see on the list here, and this is your tactical overlay. This is used when, I'm just going to scroll out for you. This is used when you're usually in PvP or PvE. So that's player versus player or player versus EVE, and you want to make sure that you are controlling your distance and your ranges. If I was to put my mouse over the weapon, you'll see that those areas are highlighted in there. And those correspond to what your optimal range is and what your optimal fall off is. So it's a great, fast, and easy way to see if whether or not you're close enough to a target to really apply damage. And then also if you're close enough to a target to maybe scramble them or even potentially web them. So that's the tactical overlay. I know a lot of really good PvPers, they like to use this. They zoom right out so that they can see exactly where the enemy ships are, so that based on their own ship and their own fit, they can fly their ship that works to the best, I guess, for the situation that they find themselves in. Okay. Excellent. That's the heads-up display. And this is the last area that we're going to look at, which is really a real quick one, and that is looking at the chat windows. You'll notice I don't have a chat window here. It's because I've I put them away. And it's this icon right here. You just merely go ahead and click on it, and you can look through all the chat windows that you currently have open. We're in Jita right now, so there's a lot of people here, lots of spamming. By the way, don't don't fall into any of these spamming traps. I'll send me 100 million, I'll send you 200 million. Stay away from those. They're scams. Eve is legendary for its scams, and the game has been going since 2003. These scams have been going the entire time, and people still get taken by them. Okay, so what you can do is you make them big, you can make them small, you can scroll them just like anything else. Okay. One thing I do want to show you, if you find yourself getting really annoyed by the blinking light that usually comes on, you could just right click and blink off. Right click, blink on, right click, blink off on the tabs. Or you can just say, you know what, go away. I don't want to be bothered right now. Perfect. So that'll end off the two-part series for this course, Understanding the Eve Window. Now, it was a very basic overview of what you're seeing in this general area. We will in future videos go into more detail, but hopefully this will give you a little bit more knowledge of what you're looking at, so that when you are playing EVE Online, you're not so you don't feel so overwhelmed by all the information in front of you. Okay, so thanks for watching this instructional video for EVE Online. If you would like to see more videos of this type and take courses, you can visit us at www.gamestim.com. Thanks very much, guys. Fly safe out there.